Welcome inside to League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you, continuing the countdown of the top 20 players at Worlds. We've reached the top 10. We've already had some KT members, some RNG members, a North American player, really two North American players. Shout outs to Core JJ again, because we always got to shout out former Dignitas greats.
He's NA until the day he dies, which I hope is never. Core JJ forever.
He is immortal. I've actually read that he has figured out how to live forever.
It's the secret of the Dignitas mousepad.
I think Kiwi Kid told him the secret because Kiwi Kid knows the secret to immortality. But we're on to the top 10 now, which means these are some pretty darn good players. If the top 20 weren't good enough, top 10 is even better. And coming in at number 10, we have the first member of the Afreeca Freaks, who maybe some people would have rather seen Griffin or SKT make the run. But Afreeca is still a very exciting team, and we got Kuro in the mid lane, who throughout his career has kind of been forgotten about and doesn't get as many resources on teams that he's been a part of, but he still manages to put up some crazy numbers and be a featured carry despite not getting funneled as much attention as other mid laners.
You know me, Eric, of course.
I know you.
When it comes to wanting SKT to do anything, that's me. I'm the guy. I'm the SKT fanboy. But I'm telling you, I'm excited to have the Afreeca Freaks here going to Worlds. I think that this team more than deserves their shot in the spotlight here, this chance to really prove what they can do and how much they've improved over the past couple of splits. And I think Kuro is certainly one of those guys. Kuro, when he was on the Rocks Tigers, was kind of an overthought. A lot of people would look past him. You know, you have guys like Peanut, you have Smeb in the top lane, and of course, Prey and Gorilla. Those are the exciting things. Kuro, he's just there to get carried. No, not anymore. Kuro has really stepped up his game and has shown that he needs to be considered one of these elite level mid laners in the LCK, and that he was always considered that level below the likes of a Faker, something like that. And I think now Kuro really has proven himself that he needs to start being in that level of conversation, when you're talking about who can bring that high level of play.
And I don't think many people expected coming into his tenure with the Afreeca Freaks for him to be such a fantastic carry player out of there, because you're right, you're used to him on Rocks where he was kind of playing sick and fiddle, and at times people were saying he's the weak link on that roster. So he moves to this Afreeca lineup, and he's a veteran. He's been around for a long time, and with all this young talent coming up, he's still not only putting up with them and competing with them, but outshining them in a lot of these matchups. He had a truly fantastic spring and summer split in 2018, and he is definitely deserving of being on the top 10 on this list, and is probably one of the top 3, maybe 4 mid laners at this event.
Yeah, and he certainly has shown us some good versatility in this mid lane from the champion picks that he's been able to have, such as the examples of playing well on the Bruiser Aatrox mid lane, taking away some of those jungler camps, and of course, he's also been playing that lethality Varus, poking out in that mid lane, so he certainly can bring many different looks to you against on the other side of the rift.
And we're excited to see him perform against the top tier mid lane talent at Worlds 2018. Let's roll on to number 9, where this is where people may have issues with this list. You've probably been wondering, where is Caps? Where's the best in EU, best in the West, summer split MVP? Well, he's in at number 9, one spot ahead of Kuro. I think those two are pretty close, 10 and 9. I mean, you could make an argument either way, but we have him coming in at number 9. Not even close that he's the best player in the Western scene right now. He's cracked the top 10 in at number 9. He completely destroyed EU on pretty much any champion that you could think of. He played it in the mid lane and was destroying people with it.
When Eric said we had another Western player on this list, I was thinking, oh goody, we've got Pobelter and his big NA brain playing Malzahar out here. No. It's
Thought
Caps.
about it.
Finally we get Caps here on this list. And as you're saying, we had Kuro right before this one, and I put those mid laners neck and neck. When you talk about the level of performance that those two have had this year, it's almost at the same level, but I think Caps is just that little bit ahead of him as far as how hard he truly has dominated. Yes, in a weaker region as the EU LCS, but he really has shined. And I think, again, as we talk about those two players with Kuro and Caps here, the big thing for them has been their absolute growth that they've had this year to truly emerge as elite level players Caps has had the bigger level of growth here and has truly grown to be this monster of a mid lane player that it doesn't matter if he's going on an assassin like an LeBlanc, or if he's going to have to be put on something more utility like an Aurelion Sol, or if he's going to get to go totally off the board and play something like Wukong. It doesn't matter. Caps is going to find advantages for Fnatic and help them get a win.
And these were the peaks that people were excited about when he first burst into that Fnatic lineup. There was a lot of hype around him. He had a fantastic spring split in 2018, and then he went to MSI. Not only went toe-to-toe with the likes of Xiaohu, BDD, and Maple, but at times he outshined them, outclassed them, and then he comes into summer, has an even better split, even more dominant, takes home MVP. So yeah, there's a lot of hype around this guy heading into Worlds 2018, and despite the stiff competition, I think he's up to the challenge in the top 9.
Hey, things are looking good for Fnatic with him in the mid lane, and of course, you have the rest of the members of this Fnatic squad looking strong, playing well, in good form. I think this could be a real good year for the members of Fnatic.
Let's see Baby Faker be elevated to fully grown adult and midlife crisis Faker. Number 8 on the list is another member from Gen G. It is Ruler in the bottom lane, who throughout the regular season, most of it, he looked the best AD carry in the LCK. Stumbled at the Asian Games because Uzi and Ming did to what they've done to everyone in the world this year and destroyed them in lane. But in the Gauntlet run, he looked a whole lot better. He looked more like the Ruler we saw in earlier 2018.
Yeah, forget about the Asian Games. The Korean broadcasters don't even want you to be able to find the highlights of that game. It doesn't exist. It never happened. So you don't even get to know that Ruler was feeding off the face of this earth against Uzi in that matchup, because now all you get to remember is Ruler's performance in the regional run here in the Gauntlet for the LCK. And oh man, was that performance clean from Ruler. He was truly pumping out the damage as an ADC. Man, he is going to be a great pairing with CoreJJ heading into this World.
And you saw how emotional he was after that series win to secure them a spot at Worlds. Obviously, there was an insane amount of pressure on them throughout that entire run. They went to a couple of Game 5s before destroying Kingzone in the final matchup. But, I mean, he knows that he was in a bit of a slump heading into this one, and now he looks a whole lot better after that Gauntlet run. He's probably feeling a whole lot better, and he is still the defending champ, and he was the standout player in that World Championship Series against SKT. So Ruler, definitely a player to watch at Worlds 2018. Coming up after the break, the countdown keeps on rolling. We got number 7 to 4, and a former number 1 from this very list is coming in. Not at number 1 this time. Welcome inside to our luxurious yet cozy digs here at League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys today as the countdown continues for the top 20 players at Worlds 2018. We have now hit the top 7, which is, the competition's getting stiff. It's hard. You got to be having a pretty insane year to be on the top 7.
Hey, you got to be the best of the best to be at this level here on this ranking list. And I tell you what, these are some of my favorite players to ever watch in League of Legends. Whether you're watching them in solo queue, regular play, anything, these guys bring the skill and they bring the heat every time they're on the Rift.
And coming in at number 7 is a guy who was formerly number 1 on this list in 2016, usurping the likes of Faker. It is KT Smeb. I mean, he's down to 7th place. He's not quite at the same level he was, as we've seen on the Rocks Tigers in years past, but he is still one of the best top laners on the entire planet.
Oh, without a doubt. If you're talking about top laners and you're not mentioning Smeb within the first, 1, 2, 3 at the most names here, you're crazy. You're crazy. I don't want to talk to you if you're talking about that, because Smeb absolutely finds himself here, finding himself at number 7 on our list. Hasn't exactly been the level of carry performances that we've seen from Smeb in the year like 2016, where people were saying that he could rival Faker as the best player in the world. I think that talk was maybe a little premature, but certainly one of the premier carries in the top lane, and he is going to have a field day at this World Championship trying to put his signature stamp out on some of these games.
And he did have some games against Griffin in that finals where there were some questionable moments. Sword was kind of catching him out, and him and Tarzan were taking advantage of Smeb not really, respecting the opposing teams. But, he still had some serious carry performances in the spring and summer split, and he finally won another LCK title. KT, again, finally living up to the hype that they've had for basically 2 full years now, and one of the main reasons there is Smeb. But the reason he's not higher on our list is because he's died a lot more than we're accustomed to seeing from him.
Certainly a little bit more carelessness than we usually have seen from the likes of Smeb, but you got to remember, some of these champions that he plays, he is absolutely the best in the world at them. The Kennen pick, the Rumble pick, things like that. And of course, can't forget Korean Jace in the top lane here. Smeb is exactly who you think of, and those performances will be definitely needed for KT Rolster heading into Worlds.
You're not an LCK top laner unless you can play Jace, but for once, Smeb is not the highest rated top laner on our list. Coming in at number 6 is the Afreeca Freecs Keane in the top lane, the man who represented South Korea at the Asian Games, which again, didn't actually happen. There's no proof of that. But Keane has showcased, especially here in the summer split. He had a fantastic spring when he was first coming onto the scene, but here in summer, he really found his own footing. He had a fantastic playoff run with the Afreeca Freecs, and he might be the best carry-oriented top laner, not just in the LCK, but in the entire world. You see 15 solo kills. That was 6 more than the next highest top laner in the LCK.
We've talked about Keane before and the differences between him and Marin specifically for the Afreeca Freecs. When the Afreeca Freecs had Marin, they wanted to carry through that top lane play through Marin. Of course you would with a player like that, but it never exactly worked out for the team. And at times where they needed the top laner, when the meta was shifting to play him a more supportive role or to take, maybe a little bit more of a risky type of champion into certain matchups, Marin was not willing to do that. You know who is? Keane. Keane is absolutely willing to do that and has shown that throughout his time on the Afreeca Freecs, picking whatever the team needs him to do as far as they've been practicing. And it really has shown up in certain huge moments like the Quinn games that he's had before in the LCK playoffs, absolutely popping off on that champion in the top lane. I think Keane brings a much stronger team fighting presence than Marin ever did for the Afreeca Freecs, and I think that's one of the main reasons we're finally seeing the Afreeca Freecs at the World Championship.
And with a veteran lineup around him, he's really been able to thrive in that kind of rookie, younger player role and has been, at times, the featured carry on this Afreeca squad. And that's why he's 1 spot ahead of Smeb in number 6 as the highest rated top laner coming into Worlds 2018. And he is the player to watch on Afreeca. Let's roll on to the top 5, where you have the forgotten hero of RNG's bottom lane. Of course, we're talking about Ming. Some people have been saying in 2018 he's been the best support on the planet. He's forgotten about when you're playing alongside Uzi, but there's 2 people in a bot lane duo when you're completely smashing in 2v2s, and his engages in team fights have been otherworldly in 2018.
Oh, there isn't a better title for Ming than the right hand of God here, because he's right beside Uzi at all times. And of course, Uzi is not the only one doing things here. If you're an ADC, yeah, I know what it's like. You think you're the one doing all the heavy lifting, you're the one doing everything here. But I tell you what, the person keeping you alive, the person dishing out the CC here, that is an important member of your team, and Ming has been playing it absolutely perfectly for RNG. It's just been spectacular for him, and hey, he really has been playing a ton this year. The endurance levels for this guy is insane, having played something over 150 starts already this year. Insanity from him, and he's just gearing up for some more games of League of Legends.
RNG has a lot of subs, but none of them for Ming. He's playing there every game. They can't sub this guy out because he's right there beside Uzi, playing the supportive champions if you need, or you need one sole player to engage and set up every team fight. Ming can do both, man. His champion pool is endless, and his Alistar is absolutely disgusting. But we're moving on to number 4, where we have another support for all the praise we just gave Ming. We couldn't put him ahead of this guy on our list. Of course, we're talking about the greatest support of all time, Mata for KT Rolster, who's coming back to Worlds. He won another LCK title, best vision control in the world. Obviously, he's a premier shot caller, and we've seen him, again, on Engaged Champions. We've seen his Thresh, his Alistair's disgusting, his Rakan is great. Pretty much any champion he's good on.
Uzi is pretty darn happy to find himself a support in Ming, but I tell you what, he must still be crying every time he sees a picture of Mata because, man, Mata is the guy that you want to be having. If you could pick any support in the world, this is the guy.
He had him.
He had him and he lost him, and it's gone forever. He's lost his holographic Charizard card. Tears streaming down his face.
That's a serious loss.
Oh, it's a real rough one because, hey, Mata, he is of that level of a holographic Charizard card. Man, brings that heat to the Rift every single time, and absolutely love the type of play that he can bring out here, and especially that chemistry that he has developed with Deft now is something that certainly can't be avoided. And hey, if you're gonna run into a hot bot lane, Deft and Mata are certainly gonna be giving you that heat.
A holographic Charizard card might be the biggest level of praise that we've ever given anyone on this program. So shout outs to Mata. But there's plenty more praise to come on the other side of the break because we're moving on to the top 3, the best of the best coming into Worlds 2018, who can make history with their first title. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to League on Lock. Eric and Mark with you guys today, and we have hit the top 3 on our top 20 worlds ranking ahead of the 2018 World Championship. And these are the best of the best. It's got Faker. It's got, oh no, it doesn't have Faker. Faker's not there. I just like saying it to Mark that Faker is not at Worlds 2018, but the man who is coming in at number 3 is at Worlds 2018, did capture his first ever LCK title in the last year of OGN, the man who'd been there the entire time. It's Old Man Score for KT Rolster. That's right, the entire KT lineup represented on this top 20 list.
This is like any time, I can't think of any names really to bring out for you, but in professional sports, someone's playing to the age of 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. I don't know how old
80.
Score is going to be when he finally retires, but he'll be playing forever like those guys. The man who has been here forever, Father Time. Score is finally going to get his due here. Gets his championship with KT Rolster, is heading to the Worlds with that #1 seed for the LCK. And man, he certainly has to be here in the top 3 players to watch heading into this tournament, because not only have we been talking about how long he's been playing, Father Time, all this stuff, he absolutely is playing at the top level of his game. I don't know if I've ever really seen Score play as strong as we have been seeing him play recently. He certainly has been at the top level of his game. The pathing for me, that's the #1 thing I want to talk about with Score. His jungle pathing has been 200 IQ ahead of anyone else there on the Rift, and that has been leading to some major advantages for KT Rolster. I think this might finally be the time and the year for Score to get some more awards.
He's been the best jungler in the world for a couple of years now. We're finally going to get to see him on the world stage. Finally going to get to see this KT Rolster on the world stage, which everyone has been waiting to see ever since the super team that was built to take down SKT. Little did they know they didn't have to. They just had to wait them out.
You needed Griffin. That's what they exactly needed to end SKT.
And that's exactly what happened. But Score, excited to see him at Worlds. For all his runner-up finishes, the drive has stayed the same for him. His level of play hasn't dipped throughout that entire stretch. So excited to finally see him get that chance and go up against some other world-class junglers, because yeah, his mental psyche is probably the best in the world when it comes to pathing. We're on to the top 2, where it's 2 LPL players. Can you believe that, Mark? No LCK players, even though Rookie, who is coming in at #2, by the way, has played, is Korean. He's a Korean player, but he plays in the LPL, has been for a long time. 3-time LPL MVP back-to-back coming into 2018. He is the best mid laner at this tournament.
Oh, without a doubt for me. We've had a lot of talk about the mid laners in this top 20 list and what they can bring and their level of eliteness and how they've grown. Well, Rookie hasn't really had to do any growing here because he's been elite this whole time. And he certainly has shown it once again this year with some incredibly dominating performances throughout his play here in the LPL splits. He has been fantastic player, and I think that this is, when you talk about the LPL, sometimes, RNG and Uzi, of course, grab those headlines. People usually get to talk and see them. IG and Rookie is maybe not the exact team that a lot of Western people have been able to watch at some of these strange times that you do have to be up to watch the LPL and things like that. I will tell you, Rookie is without a doubt worth it. I would wake up 2, 3 a.m. for the rest of my life to watch someone like Rookie play League of Legends, and it has truly been a treat.
Yeah, you're usually up at 2 or 3 a.m. anyways.
That's also
check
true.
those games out. But yeah, Rookie has definitely lived up to, he's been on some bad IG rosters, but has still been playing fantastically, been stuck in ELO hell during those times. Finally, he's surrounded by a stacked Invictus roster, and they're headed to Worlds, deservedly so. He was excited about it. He was emotional getting to those finals against RNG. And even in that set, I know they lost. He was playing super well for them, and I'm excited to finally see him matched up against some international mids. And I know RNG's got all the headlines of 2018, but IG is another team that can definitely compete with the teams from Korea, even in a best-of series. So Rookie definitely a guy to watch out for. And of course, the main man to watch out for. It's hard to make an argument against Uzi coming in at number 1. The only one I can think of is this guy wasn't even the first team All-Pro AD carry in 2018 summer. So how's he going to be number 1 on our list?
Yeah, well, it should be SMLZ, of course.
That's
we
right.
all know the LPL ADC there. But no, it's Uzi, and hey, look at all these numbers. Absolutely crazy that Uzi has put together the year that he has. The Mad Dog himself. Of course, there's been a long history of Uzi with RNG and his development as a professional player in the League of Legends scene. And I gotta say, hey, everyone's been talking about how much maturity, how much growth he's had. Well, yeah, no duh. Uzi showed up as a 17-year-old kid with RNG. Of course, he's gone through some maturity here to get to where he is, to the level of understanding that he has as far as what his teammates need, what his team needs in order to be successful as a whole, and what that means for his success in general. I think Uzi has done a lot of personal development growth as far as a person, and that has hugely impacted his way that he's been able to dominate on the Rift and the way that RNG has been able to play around him. But of course, strictly speaking, those mechanical skills are some of the nastiest on this planet.
And I think one of the main reasons you're seeing RNG excel even more, and Uzi, is this guy has played with so many different roster iterations throughout his career. You look at Season 3 and Season 4 of the World Championship, it was an entirely different roster. He's finally stuck with the same core for a couple of years now, pretty much the exact same as last year, except you bring Karsa in now, who's only helped elevate the team. So the synergy is just there with this squad, and you're really seeing it here in 2018, and they're really able to utilize and capitalize on Uzi's talent.
Hey, Uzi won the Demacia Cup, Spring Split, adds MSI to that one, adds Rift Rivals, and then the LPL Summer Finals. The only possible thing that he could win right now is Worlds. That's the only thing staring him down. Oh, and of course, I forgot, he also has the 1v1 All-Star title. That's the most important one before Worlds, of course that. But hey, pretty good from Uzi.
That's what's on the top of his mantle. But that's the countdown. That's all the time today for League Unlocked. Eric and Mark with you guys. Thanks for watching.